Hello and welcome to Never on the Backfoot. In today's weekly live show, scheduled today because on Sunday I'll be unavailable, we will discuss the blockbuster matches that have happened so far in the ICC Men's ODI World Cup. Now we have three special guests joining us today. We have Julie, Abhishek, and Sunil. A warm welcome to our panelists and thank you to all the viewers who have already joined us. So please do share in your thoughts, comments, and questions in the live chat, and we will make sure to address them in our conversation as well. So now in this chat, we will primarily be focusing on the matches that happened from 15th October till yesterday's India versus Bangladesh match. So we have quite a lot of interesting encounters to discuss. We've seen again a lot of fascinating results as well. So without further ado, we'll get started with our discussion. So on focus is of course match 13, Afghanistan versus England, right? Now I think this undoubtedly had to be one of the best matches we've seen this World Cup because Afghanistan pulled off this remarkable victory. No one saw it coming, and I think that's what made it incredibly special in that sense as well. So let's open our discussion with Abhishek on this one. So what were your thoughts on the match and everything that transpired?
Frankly speaking, it was not like a surprise for me because Afghanistan is not a weak side. It's a good side, uh, powered by uh, amazing batters and of course their spinners, Rashid. And it was an amazing match to watch, and it was not much of an upset for me because I was rooting for Afghanistan in that match. So yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, the result didn't surprise a lot of people because Afghanistan
Right.
has really proved themselves in recent times to be this unit that can be, quite the shocker. So now I'll direct this question to Julie. Obviously, the match presented a lot of standout performers, and there were like a lot of standout moments as well. So, what were some of that for you?
Think first of all, I think what Abhishek said, right, that even I was happy, like him, I was happy to see Afghanistan winning that match against defending champions England. I'm sure that England has been blowing hot and cold in this World Cup, but again, beating a champion side like England by Afghanistan, I think it was an upset, but at the end of the day, I was very happy to see Afghanistan pulling off that victory. And I think if you ask me, Neha, one of my favorite moments, or probably the turning points, if you could say, the decision of Hashmatullah Shahidi to give the new ball to Mujibur Rahman. I think it is very bold call, I would say, because when you have batters like Johnny Bairstow and David Malan in front of you, and when you toss it up to an off spinner, I know Mujib has a lot of experience bowling with the new ball for Afghanistan, also playing in Indian conditions because of the IPL, but still throwing the new ball to an off spinner, that was incredible. Though he did not strike in his initial 2 3 overs, I believe, but later on he got the breakthrough, and I think that was very important for Afghanistan. And of course, his role with the bat down the order. I think he scored 25, I think, odd runs, and those long shots for boundaries and sixes. I think that was amazing, which gave Afghanistan that push in the end, which helped them to score, I think, 280 odd runs against England. And then again, his role with the ball was incredible.
Absolutely. I think he was really the standout feature for Afghanistan in that match that really propelled them to victory as well. Now, Sunil, obviously the discourse around this match has been how, Afghanistan pulled off this massive victory against England. But when you look at it from an England point of view, what do you think did not work well for them? Because we know this is the champion side. They are your defending champions. So, what are your thoughts on the same?
Yeah. So, according to me, Neha, basically, I thought England were a bit complacent. They did not really, think that Afghanistan would play this well. I think that is where they lost the plot. So I think this similar situation happened in 2012 T20 World Cup as well. I think England started off brilliantly, and I think in the second or the third match they lost. So I think these kind of matches, right, they lit up the whole tournament. So they, it basically, it brings up, basically it opens up the tournament. So that is something, which is actually needed for an ICC events like T20 or a 50 over World Cup. So I think England, maybe they should have been a little more cautious in their approach. I believe they kind of gave away too many runs. So I think this is where they should have controlled, I guess.
That's actually true. And this is certainly a wake up call for England, right? Losing to Afghanistan might have come as a huge shocker and something none of us really saw coming. So here's hoping, England can really get their campaign now up and running. So let's focus on our next match, that is Sri Lanka versus Australia, right? Now, I think here's where Australia must have really heaved a sigh of relief because they won this match and it was their first in this World Cup considering the start they had. So, Abhishek, what were your thoughts on this match? And was it like a clinical victory, or did Australia still look rusty somewhere?
No, as far as I think, it was a clinical victory, and one of the big bonuses that they had were Mitchell Marsh playing well in that match. Because in the previous matches, Marsh did not perform that well. He got out in single digit figures. So somewhere Marsh coming back to form was a good thing for Australia. Today as well, I think he scored a century, right? So yeah, so that is one thing that Australia can take a sigh of relief now. So that, but I think they chased it down in 35 odd overs. So I think it was a pretty clinical win for Aziz. So I think, yeah, and I think they were on the last spot in the table. And after that, now they have been climbing up the ladder. So happy for them.
I mean, that's actually true because Australia is such a dominant team, and seeing them lie right at the bottom of the table is quite disappointing for their fans and a
Exactly.
lot of us who've been following the game for such a long time. So, Julie, who do you think impressed you the most from this game, and any standout moments that still stay with you?
Yes, I think for me, I think Josh English. I'm sorry, his role was very important for the Australian team. I think though Abhishek said that Mitchell Marsh played a handy knock of I think a half century he made in that match. He gave a good start at the opening for Australia, but in the middle order, I think when Australia were four down for 150 odd runs, again the match could have shifted in Sri Lanka's favor because we know that Australia was under a lot of pressure. They had not scored more than 200 runs in their last two outings against India and against South Africa. So they were really struggling with the bat. But when Josh Inglis came into play, replacing Alex Carey, mind you, so even he was under pressure. Even he wanted to cement his place in the Australian team. And the way he handled Mahesh Tikshana and the other pacers of Sri Lanka, I think that was incredible because if he had not scored that 58 odd runs, I think Australia could have been in trouble and probably still struggling at probably three matches, three losses, and 0 points at the bottom of the table. So for me, I think Josh Inglis, and I think with the ball, Adam Zampa, 4 wickets in that match against Sri Lanka, a team which is known to play well against spinners. A leg spinner coming in there and picking 4 wickets. I think that was important from the Australian point of view. While I think all the focus for Australia is on the pace try of Hazelwood, Stark, and Cummins, but Zampa making an impact. That was incredible, I think, for me.
Yeah, and I think even Adam Zampa lately had been under fire, for not getting those wickets. Many people had just written him off, but it's performances like this that really remind you that hey, I'm still there, and getting those wickets as well. And as you observe the match, now this question is for Sunil. Now we saw as the match progressed, there were some tricky decisions with like the umpire, weighing in some tough calls. So Australia still could, take some positives from the game. But are there still areas that Australia needs to iron out? And what do you think Sri Lanka will take from this loss?
Yeah, so it is actually a huge loss for Sri Lanka because they are right now at the bottom of the table, right? So three matches and three losses, and also they lost their captain Daswin Shanaka at the very right moment, right? So and then Kusal Mendes taking over the reins, and so I think they have lost kind of a very good all rounder and a captain. So they have to get their batting numbers right. And also, I think there are a lot of areas that Sri Lanka has to focus in terms of batting, bowling, and fielding as well. Because at the very beginning of the tournament, they have lost Wanindu Hasaranga, who was their primary go-to bowler, right? So and they right now they do not have it. So I think so their main bowlers were Mahesh Tikshana, and then I think they have Dunit Bellalage, who's kind of bowling well, but I think they have basically I think they're short of one bowler, and also their batters have to basically start firing. So or else they would kind of lose their way. And I think they also, and also they, Sri Lanka should basically be reminded of the fact that they were not, straight entrants into this World Cup. So they had to play, the knockouts, and then, enter into the World Cup. So this is something they have to really perform. And also, it is not that they can take any other team, very lightly. So they were actually placed, I think, ninth or tenth in the ranking. So they have to really play well for the remainder of the season, or else they will be out of the tournament.
That's actually true. The pathway that Sri Lanka had to come to this ICC Men's ODI World Cup was a tough one, right? Going through the qualifiers. Now, this has been a champion team. They've won previous editions of the World Cup, and having had to go through the qualifiers and then come here, they really need to get their combination right. We acknowledge that they have a lot of like injuries that's really halted their campaign, but Sri Lanka is one side. We can see spring up some surprises. So let's watch out for that in this World Cup. And now let's focus on another interesting match, that is Netherlands versus South Africa, right? Again, this was a fascinating match because the Netherlands pulled off this unbelievable win versus South Africa, kind of repeating the heroics of that T20 World Cup, where they did the same, right? So again, let's mix this up a little. Julie, what were your thoughts on that match? Watching it live, did you ever think that Netherlands would do something like so improbable?
Honestly, I had no idea that Netherlands would pull off a win against South Africa, who have started their World Cup campaign on a great note. I would say beating Australia with such a big margin. I think that would have given a lot of confidence to South Africa going into that match against the Netherlands. But I think in one of my articles I had written when I was previewing the match between Netherlands and South Africa is that my opening sentence was, "Can Netherlands seek inspiration from Afghanistan? What Afghanistan did to England, can Netherlands do it to South Africa?" So that was a question mark. And the next day I wrote that yes, the question was answered affirmatively by Netherlands. They did pull off that victory against South Africa. We may call it an upset, but I'm sure the Dutch people and the Dutch fans, the fans of the Dutch cricket, I'm sure they would say that it was a classic win. And just like Sri Lanka, even Netherlands had a tough way to make it to the World Cup. Even they had to go through the qualifiers. So we know that they are, I think, men of metal, if we can say. They are a tough team. And I think the presence of a South African in that team, Van der Merwe, I think that could also have played some role, though he played way back in 2009-10 for South Africa. But again, I think that could have made an impact for Netherlands. And of course, the role of captain, I must say, it was incredible. Scott Edwards, he led from the front with the bat, and his keeping and his decision on the field to rotate the bowlers. I think that was exceptional from Netherlands.
Absolutely. It's victories like this, right, that really remind you of what a beautiful sport cricket is, and it can throw such amazing results as well. So now, Sunil, obviously, Netherlands is not a regular, it's not a test playing nation at all, and often doesn't get to play against top flight nations. You see them play in like the ODI Super League, where they get to play against some teams. They don't play regularly. You have a lot of players who have regular jobs besides, playing cricket. So how uplifting and like heartwarming was that win, and the kind of story that the Netherlands players have? How amazing was that?
It will be definitely be, so it is an inspiration, Neha, honestly. So when teams like Netherlands, or Zimbabwe, and any other associate nations, when they win against bigger teams, right, so they make a big impact, and they inspire a generation. So, right, so they inspire the younger lot, and then so they will basically pick up bat and ball and then go start playing. So this is something which is actually needed. So and also the respective cricketing boards have to invest a lot of money, and also time and energy. And also there is a role of BCCI as well to basically start promoting some cricket there, and also just go start basically have good tournaments. And then maybe things like this will definitely help teams like Netherlands or Namibia, or Zimbabwe, and other associate nations. So this is actually very much needed for cricket. So if it has to be flourished as a global sport, or else this will just be limited to just 8 or 9 nations, where you have cricket left. And also, if you right now, if you look at some of the very good test playing nations, right, so only maybe a handful of nations are playing test cricket, and also they're producing results, be it England, Australia, South Africa, India, and New Zealand. So maybe these are the 5 countries where you get to see a lot of cricket being played. But otherwise, apart from these 5 nations, you really do not see much of cricket being played. So I think this victories like this, tournaments like these will play a major role in actually developing cricket as a global sport.
That's actually so true. And considering, the squad composition of Netherlands has a lot of young players, right? This is great exposure for them. And playing in conditions like India, it also opens up a lot of avenues for scouts to, recruit players like this. So hopefully we get to see some Dutch players, in the IPL as well. And Abhishek, now I think I'll direct this question to you because if you saw the discourse around Netherlands' victory, many people call it an upset, right? And a lot of them said, minnow, like Netherlands defeated South Africa. So somewhere, do you think it's time we stop using the term minnows? Because obviously we understand these teams don't square off against the top flight nations as much, right? And calling them upsets also can be kind of disrespectful. So what are your 2 cents on that?
So what I think is it was the second consecutive World Cup defeat for South Africa against Netherlands. So I think calling it an upset is really disrespectful for the Dutch, and it has got to sting South Africa, the Proteas, because I think Netherlands, it was a clinical defeat because both batting and bowling they were superb, and South Africa, all I think all the bowlers, their economies were above six. Only Keshav Maharaj was under six. So that thing they have to look into. And batting, as Julie said, she mentioned, the captain, he played a captain's knock for real. 78 runs with a superb strike rate of 100, I think somewhere around 113, 115. So that has some kind of potential for these associate nations because some great cricket these guys are playing. So I think calling it an upset is really disrespectful, as you're saying.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you're also able to think on the similar lines because many
Right.
portals reported this as an upset, which was kind of demeaning the kind of victory that the Netherlands did pull off. But here's hoping the World Cup sees a lot more surprises like this as well, and we don't get to see like a lot of one-sided contests now. So let's move on to our next match, which is New Zealand versus Afghanistan. Now, again, a lot of people are like, hey, could we see an upset considering the matches we've had in this week? But New Zealand, being the team they are, they've been on a roll in this World Cup. They registered this stellar win, and now they are like with 4 wins out of 4. And I think they seem to have ticked a lot of boxes, right, with the kind of performances they're consistently putting up. So, Sunil, let's start off with you on this one. What were your thoughts on this match? And does New Zealand really look like that settled unit that's sealing that semi-final spot?
Oh, of course, no, without second thoughts. So, see, if you look at New Zealand, right, over the last 2 3 World Cups, right, so they have been very consistent. I think they have worked hard on their game. They worked hard on their players, their fitness. I think they have been fit. I mean, historically they have been fit. So, and also they have tried to tick all the boxes really well. So, in all the units, right, be it batting, bowling, or fielding departments, they have had their players. So, and also as I said last time, right? So New Zealand has played a lot of cricket across the world. If you take likes of Trent Bolt, or you take Kane Williamson, be it Devon Conway. So they have played a lot of cricket everywhere, right? So, and also they have had exposure in playing in in Indian condition, or be the subcontinent conditions. And this time World Cup have been happening in India, so I think it is a blessing for them. And also during the 2021 T20 World Cup, which happened in Dubai, I think their standout performer was Daryl Mitchell. So he played really well. I think he opened the innings for New Zealand, and then he played some very good knocks. So, and also if you take Tom Latham has been consistent since the last World Cup, which was played in England. So they have a regular keeper in Tom Latham. They have a good the good opening pair. I think I felt somewhere the middle order was kind of not settled in between, but I think this time the surprise was Rachin Ravindra. So he played, I think in the first game he batted, I think in number one or number two, he opened the innings, and then from the next match onwards, he has dropped one place. He's batting at number three, where Kane Williamson used to bat. But in his absence, I think Kane had to come back, and then Rachin had to give away his place. But I think post that they have, so I think the top 5 or 6 is almost settled. I think maybe one or two batters in between, they are yet to score big, but otherwise they are scoring runs. And and Mitchell Santner is bowling well. He's picking up wickets. So I think Ish Sodhi has been economical. Matt Henry has been brilliant. Trent Bolt. So Trent Bolt has always been a very good bowler. So without any comment, without any doubts, right? So we just cannot agree more. So New Zealand kind of almost, they are 80 to 90% settled, and I think they're kind of picking at the right time. So if they kind of win one or two, so they'll be in semi-final. So I think at the moment they are, I think New Zealand along with India, so they look hot favorites, and the next game with India is the game to watch out for.
Definitely. And I think with New Zealand, the advantage is that the adaptability, right? In the absence of their skipper, Kane Williamson, who's regularly getting injured, you still have Tom Latham, who's leading the side so admirably well. And you have players who are really stepping up in important and clutch situations, right? Which I think is the hallmark of New Zealand right now through this World Cup. And even looking at some of the standout moments and performers from this match, we obviously have like so many golden moments. So Julie, anything that's coming right at the top of your mind?
Yeah, I think before talking about one of my favorite moments, I think I would like to say one of the reasons probably for New Zealand's success, I think, has been if you look at that team, right, the Kiwis, they are quite bunch of men. They don't have any hullabaloo going around them. They don't do any drama. Like they don't probably get into sledging. So I think the kind of attraction or attention that they attract from the outsiders or from the media is relatively less if you compare them to other teams like say Australia, India, South Africa, Pakistan, or any other team if I'm missing. So I think that is working to their favor. So how much ever I would want India to win this World Cup, I know that New Zealand is going to be there in the top four and probably could be the party spoilers for India, just like what they did in 2019 to us. So all said and done, for me, New Zealand has been standout, and like I think most of us out here, we all are big fans of New Zealand cricket team. And despite losing their captain Kane Williamson repeatedly, first with the knee injury and then that unfortunate throw from the Bangladeshi fielder to his left hand, and I think he's again out of the tournament. New Zealand have been very strong, and I think Rachin Ravindra has been one of the standout performers for me, playing his first World Cup in India. Though we know that he has roots in India, in Bangalore, if I'm not wrong. So still, he's come out here in India playing well. And apart from him, I think Lockie Ferguson. I think he's been one of the prominent bowlers, I would say. Though there is Trent Bolt and Mitchell Santner who often get the attention, but I think Lockie Ferguson's role in that middle phase of the innings has been very crucial for New Zealand. And the most impressive performance, I think, I would have to say Devon Conway. I think in the first match against England, exceptional batting, playing in Ahmedabad in front of such a big crowd. I know the ground was not filled to the rafters, but still, that opening game which they played against the defending champions, I'm sure that the wounds of the 2019 World Cup was still fresh, I think, amongst the New Zealand players, and Devon Conway and Rachin Ravindra played exceptional that match.
Absolutely, and they really stole the show, right? So somewhere, many people also felt that this game was one-sided because the way New Zealand was just playing. So Abhishek, do you agree with that line of thought that it like Afghanistan was not really giving that much of a fight and New Zealand was just running away with the game?
Yeah, yeah, I think that because the game, I think the second innings got over before 40 overs, and I think uh, they made just like some 136, 139 runs, Afghanistan. So I think they were throwing their wickets away. A lot of wickets were not earned by the bowlers. The batsmen were just, I don't know in what hurry, but the target was achievable. It was very achievable, but yeah, the batting performance that day was not good enough by Afghanistan. So that's what I think costed them the game.
Definitely, I think that was a big letdown, and led many people to think it was a one-sided encounter. But yeah, Afghanistan is again another special team, made with such incredible characters. You will see them, pull off, I think, some more miracle victories through the World Cup as well. And now let's focus on our next match. Okay, we have India versus Bangladesh. Now, obviously, India registered their fourth win on the trot, quite similar to how we started our campaign in the 2015 and 2019 World Cup. Let's leave it at that because we know what happened in those editions as well. And a lot of my classmates, quite interestingly said that India should probably lose a few matches in the group stages, because of law of averages. Otherwise, they get too overconfident, and we might end up losing a lot in the knockouts as well. But either case, India is doing well, and the squad really seems to come together, like in most of these important match situations. So let's kickstart with Sunil on this one. What were your thoughts on the match and the clinical victory?
Yes, I mean, in fact, it was much more convincing to me than clinical, I can say, because it was Virat Kohli show all the way. So, so I think his it was a masterclass 100 by Virat. So I think it was ably supported by KL, and yes, to your point, Neha. So when you mentioned that some of your classmates say that India have to lose a few matches so that they don't get too overconfident. But I think, right, so at this point in time, so maybe if India tries to get another 2 3 victories, right, so they will be in the semifinals. I think from 2019 World Cup, or maybe even at 19 World Cup onwards, there was no concept of quarterfinals, right? So it's just that win a few games and then you're in the top four. So I think India will be there. So and I think at the very crucial moment we lost Hardik Pandya, so due to an ankle injury. So hopefully he should be fit for England game at least, so that and I think at this point in time is when we have to see how our bench strength plays out, right? So do we have Ishan Kishan replacing Hardik, or do we see Surya Kumar replacing Hardik? So we really do not know, until for the next game. So I think more or less, right, India is kind of settled, and also like New Zealand, they're also picking at the right time. So that is much important. So it is not that they have to get overconfident. Because Gill also played his part. Rohit has been exceptional. He has been amongst runs, and he has given very good starts. Virat Kohli played really well. He got us 4800 or 4900, right? So, and then we have to test the lower middle order. Basically, I think that is where I think India lost last time. If you really look at it, I think from 2015 World Cup onwards, I think that is where there was a concern, because we had fabulous top three, and then maybe from number four or number five onwards, we were not really tested in the testing conditions. So I think again, right, maybe if we get one game where we have at least players from number one to number seven batting, spend some time in the middle. So I think that is where we'll be able to assess whether are we there or not. I think that is something which I am kind of hoping that we get a chance at least in the next game. So, but bowling unit is almost settled. Bumrah is really bowling well. Siraj is among the wickets. Kuldeep is getting wickets. Jadeja is definitely there. So I don't see a problem with our bowling, but at least with our batting, apart from, let's say, from from number five onwards, I think you need somebody to basically be there and then get some time out in the middle.
That's actually a great point. And now that you mentioned, Hardik Pandya's injury, I think it's going to be a major concern now for India, right? Because he really brings in that extra batting option, and he's that sixth bowling option for India as well. So, Julie, how big of a miss is this going to be for India? And who do you think can be the potential replacement? Like as Sunil said, do we see Shardul Thakur getting slotted in? Do we see, Ashwin coming in? So, what are some of the combinations that India would probably want to experiment with?
I think with Hardik Pandya unfortunately missing out from the next game for sure against New Zealand, but let's hope he gets fit. I think there India can make a couple of changes. For me, if you ask, I would like to see Shardul Thakur making way for somebody like an R. Ashwin, and instead of maybe Hardik Pandya, since he provides more of batting than bowling, probably get somebody like a Suryakumar Yadav. Because if you get in Ishan Kishan, because there are two options, either you can get in Sky or Ishan Kishan. But if you get in Ishan Kishan, he has to play at number six, and then you have number seven Ravindra Jadeja. So you don't want two left-handers again. So the purpose of getting one lefty in the middle order will not serve for India. So might as well get Suryakumar Yadav, who's known as a finisher in one-day cricket, and I think India had tried him in the Australia series, if I'm not wrong, just to give him final 10-15 overs and see how he bats. So probably Surya Kumar Yadav can come in at number six, and probably at number eight, instead of Shardul Thakur, who's not able to give those effective 10 overs. He's proving very expensive, so probably get somebody like an Ashwin. And given the fact that against New Zealand, there are left-handers out there, Devon Conway is there. Then you also have other left-handers also in the picture for New Zealand. I think getting an off-spinner in the form of Ashwin could be a good option for India.
Definitely, seeing him warm the benches has been really heartbreaking. So I feel like this game can be that perfect opportunity to give him that launch pad this World Cup and really see how he fares as well. Now, Abhishek, obviously, this was an easy win for Team India. But when you look at Bangladesh, on the other hand, there are like obvious areas of concerns. Like, they're not able to gel well as a unit. There's middle order concerns, over dependence on like Mushfiqur Rahim, Hamadullah. So, what are your thoughts on how, Bangladesh can get their act together and just ensure they have like a decentish World Cup?
So Bangladesh has a pretty decent opening unit. So their top three, I think, are performing well. Yesterday as well, I think they put up a 100-run partnership, and around 80 to 100-run partnership, I guess. And then the upper middle order is where the concern lies for Bangladesh. The lower middle order is, I think, doing good for Bangladesh. And yeah, so bowling, I would not talk about that, because yesterday's match, India absolutely thrashed the Bangladeshi bowlers. So, and it is a batting pitch. Pune, I come from Pune, so I was very happy at my hometown. So bowling, I think I would not talk about that, because it was an absolute party for the Indian batsmen. So I think the concern lies in the upper middle order for Bangladesh, because I think they have been throwing their wickets away. The openers set up something good for the team, and then the full potential is not used by the batsmen who come later on. So that's concerning for Bangladesh. If they want to do something good in the upcoming matches, their middle order has to do something.
Definitely. I think that middle order stepping up will do them a world of good as well. And just, getting the conversation back to India now, when you look at that run chase, Virat Kohli was phenomenal, right? But many felt that in the end, when like Virat Kohli was not taking singles or, being denied the same by KL Rahul, it seemed very selfish in nature. And some even reckoned how it could hurt the net run rate like in the future as well. So, Sunil, I'll direct this question to you. Like, where do you find yourself in this discourse, of players playing for their milestones? Like, do you think it's right, like, considering the team is in the winning track, let me focus on my milestone, or should that be secondary?
This is a very, very tricky question to answer, honestly. So, right. So because if you look at the situation, maybe if you look at yesterday's game situation, right? So we wanted 26 runs. Anyhow, we would have won. So I think that is what that was the logic even KL Rahul presented, right? So anyway, so because Virat was at 76, and then we needed just 20. I mean, team needed 24 runs, and Virat needed 24 runs. So it was anyway win-win situation. So, and I think at that point in time there was the net run rate factor would not have much of importance at that point in time, considering the position where India is at the moment. And I think Virat was playing really well, and then he was knocking it all over the place. So I think at that point, I mean, basically considering yesterday's situation, Neha, so I felt that it was okay for Virat to go and get that 100. So had we been in a situation where we were desperate for net run rate, or maybe we were it was a desperate game where we had to get the 2 points with where we would be in favor of any other team which is behind us. So I think that at that point in time, yes, I think Virat has been a very selfless player throughout this tournament. I have not seen an example where he has scored for himself. He has always put the team forward. I think it's time that we celebrate his records, and we wanted him to score more hundreds and break that the maximum number of hundreds that Sachin Tendulkar has scored, right? So I think this was a very good opportunity and the platform that was already available. So I think it's time that he utilized it. So I really do not see any problem at the moment. So, but yeah, I mean, as I suggested, I mean, as I told you, right? So if I have to summarize, so I think considering yesterday's situation, it was good. So maybe if we were in a different situation, then all these debates would have come up.
Right, and even Shopta in the comments, mentioned the same that K. Rahul told that, like Virat didn't want the 100, but Rahul asked him to, complete the game for India. And we've seen Virat Kohli do that on multiple occasions, when Dhoni was on strike or, many occasions like that. So Virat is a special player, and I don't think he's ever played for milestones. That has always been secondary for him, and that's what makes him an incredibly special player as well. So I think that's a fair point, Sunil. And let's also take this quick thing that Shoptas again put in the live chat that the controversy of the year, according to the Bangladeshi fans, is why did Richard Kettlebro, not indicate that wide? So he also had that like as a half smile type situation. So I'll take this. I'll open this to all three of you. Like, what do you think happened there? Like, did the umpire somewhere feel like, hey, let Virat Kohli have his moment and score that century? Which I don't think, bias obviously can't creep in the game. But yeah, what do you panelists think about this?
I think, can I go first?
Yeah, sure, sure.
I think India needed 2 runs to get when that ball, which was not given wide, it was called. So still, if that ball was given wide, Virat Kohli would have got a chance to hit a six. So I think that century was anyway due, and I don't think an umpire of the standard of Richard Kettleborough would, consider a player's century more important than his own decision. Because I think he's been there for quite some time. He's been umpiring at so many international matches, so I don't think that is going to be a problem. But honestly, even I thought when I saw the match, I thought that that was a wide, that should have been given a wide. But later today, when I got a chance to discuss with some of my teammates, so when I used to play for Mumbai, when I got a chance to discuss with them, I asked them, what do you think about this? Just to get their perspective. So they said that even in domestic matches, we feel that if the umpire feels that ball was close to the body to be hit, Virat Kohli could have hit that ball. So that's why the umpire thought that it should not be edged as wide. But again, if we recall that ball, which was bowled to R. Ashwin, if you remember, against Pakistan, and Ashwin had left that ball and that was given wide. So I thought those two deliveries were quite similar. So probably it could have gone anyway, but still that century was on the cards, and I think that wide ball probably is the secondary discussion now.
Uh, okay, Julie, if we really have to discuss that those two balls, right? So the ball where Nawaz bowled to Ashwin and the ball where this left hand bowler bowled to Virat. So there was a wide gap between those two balls. I think the ball which was bowled to Ashwin was quite wide. So I think that was an obvious wide. But I think another point that I maybe a few people have noticed is that the batsman kind of moved, so his left leg moved. So I think that is where, so umpire did not give it as a wide. So I may be wrong on this point, but again, right, so whatever, I think it has become a debatable point. So why we really do not have a uh, the right or the wrong answer to it. So maybe we need to discuss what is right and what is more right according to the situation. So maybe you can have a different view on this. I don't know what Abhishek is thinking and also what Neha is thinking, right?
Yeah, just to lighten the mood, I just saw a meme today. As Neha mentioned, the half smile of the umpire. The meme was just two Virat Kohli fans looking at each other. So that was quite funny. And yeah, I think it was a white ball, but as Sunil mentioned, Virat moved his leg, so umpire must have given the benefit of doubt. Let's not give it a wide. So yeah, but I love the meme.
I thought it's true. I mean, a lot of memes are coming up, and Richard Kettleborough also has this knack of giving a lot of interesting decisions whenever it's India matches with Virat Kohli as well. So that smile also did mean a lot. Now, India has won like 4 matches and is really looking in like a great space, right? Now we have this important match versus New Zealand coming up. Again, another team that has won 4 matches on the trot. So again, I'll open this question to all the panelists. Like, what are some of the key matchups that you're looking forward to? And do you want to make a quick prediction on the show as well? We can have any order.
Let me start. So I will go 60% New Zealand, 40% India. So because with the kind of record that they have in the past in the ICC tournaments, I think there's a slight favor or slight inclination towards New Zealand winning the game. And I and the reason why I give 40% is because home conditions, and India are also much stable at the moment. so they have the right team balance. The only factor that may work, that may not work for India is that maybe losing Hardik Pandya at the moment, and we also have to see who will basically replace, and how will the pitch play out. So I going with the current form and the current situation. So I give 60% New Zealand and 40% India.
Can I go next? So I think I disagree here. I think it's 51-49 in favor of India because home condition. And yeah, I think if Hardik misses out, I think they will play Ashwin in to replace Hardik because yeah, he can bat well and he can provide those economic overs in the middle overs, and he can also open with the bowling as well. In the power play he can bowl. So I think they might just go with Ashwin there. And the key matchups, as you have asked, I think it's the left-handed bowlers versus our openers. So that is going to be a tough one. If our opening batsmen, if they survive for the first 10-15 overs, I think it's going to be India everywhere. So yeah,
I think it's always good to agree to disagree. So we are all up for it.
yeah.
Probably, I think it's a 50-50 maybe. India, New Zealand. Both the teams, I think, as I said earlier also in this discussion, though India is my favorite, but again, you can't hate the Kiwis. They are two good players as well. And I think, as Abhishek pointed out, it will be interesting to see how Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill face against Trent Bolt. And of course, Virat Kohli also does not have that great record against left armers. We have also seen in the IPL how Trent Bolt had got better of Virat Kohli. I think in the first over he had gotten out. So I think it will be interesting to see. And if New Zealand get a chance to bowl in the second innings, it will be interesting to see under lights how their fast bowlers bowl at Dharamshala, where there will be, I think, wind will be blowing properly and Trent Bolt generating that kind of swing. It will be interesting to see how the Indian top order faces against New Zealand bowlers. So, hoping for a great match, and let's see who breaks whose winning streak going into that match.
Yeah, a lot at stake here actually when we see, and there's an interesting statistic that India has never defeated New Zealand in like a ICC ODI World Cup. So maybe this is the time for India to actually pull off the impossible and do that. We have an interesting comment again coming in our live chat where Cricket Darshan says, I would prefer Shami at Dharamshala because he could, bolster the seam attack considering the conditions. And even Siraj has had a lot of off days, if you all have noticed. So again, I'll open this question to either of the panelists to take up because Shami can be that player, right? X factor.
No, I think Siraj is a very good swing bowler. So I don't. I mean, it is not that there is a preference here. So Shami has always been the go-to bowler for India before Bumrah. So I think this is a very tricky question, because so whom do you want to prefer, right? So both are top bowlers, right? Be it Shami or be it Siraj, it is very difficult to make one player sit. So I think Shami has been warming the bench in this tournament. I don't know what the team management's thought process is, by making Shami warm the benches. So, but I still want to go with Siraj because he's been the number one ODI bowler for some time now, and also he bowls at right lengths and right areas, and he's big, and he also is swinging the ball. So I think in the wicket at Dharmashala, so I think that will offer a lot of swing and movement. So where Siraj has been extremely dangerous there. So I still would go with Siraj compared to I would pick Siraj over Shami.
What
Fair
I
point.
think here is what I think is Siraj. Of course, I don't think they should replace Siraj, but as Julie mentioned in her earlier answers, Shardul has been very expensive lately. So if they just replace Shardul with Shami, it could be a good pace attack, and Ashwin has to come in because they need that batting option. So Shardul, I don't think is a very you know. Reliable batsman when it comes to batting in the lower order. Yeah, he of course he has done some wonders for India, but Ashwin I think would play a notch over Shardul. So if Shami has to come in, I think he can replace Shardul and come in. instead of replacing Siraj.
And we have the comment coming in here as well from Cricket Darshan that here I mentioned Shami in for Hardik. So Siraj and Bumrah would play with Shami, and I think that will be an interesting toss up to see as well. And he also adds that I'm not referring to Siraj being benched. So yeah, that's just a quick clarification there. And even Shopto
Yeah.
actually put in the live chat that India has a great advantage with spinners, right? Because Kiwis haven't really been quite good at playing spin, so India has that edge. So Julie, do you also think the same that India spinners really bring in that variety and challenge to the Kiwis?
Of course, I think Kuldeep Yadav has been exceptional so far in this tournament. We did not expect much going into the World Cup that he would play such a crucial role, given the fact that even Ravindra Jadeja is there with him. But we can say that he has definitely overshadowed Jadeja as far as his bowling is concerned. And it is always difficult for any batter to pick up a left arm wrist spin, and because of not many bowlers are there around the world who can bowl left arm wrist spin, so Kuldeep Yadav will play an important role, I feel, and the Kiwis could have a tough time facing him. Jadeja, and if we see Ashwin getting a chance, then I'm sure it could be a nightmare for the Kiwis to face the spin trio. And again, I think if we look at the discussion on Shami being playing the match, I feel if Shami, Siraj, and Bumrah are included, I think the tail will get too long for India. And in case if we see a batting collapse, unfortunately, at Dharamshala against New Zealand, then probably it could be a lot of trouble. So let's see what the Indian think tank has to do with this.
Yeah,
Either
so
case,
I will agree
yeah,
with
go.
Julie. In fact, so because see, in place of Shardul, I think we need to bring in Ashwin so that we have that right, batting bowling combination. Sorry, the fast bowling and the spin bowling combination. So we'll be going with two off spinners and one leg spinner, and then we have the two fast bowlers. So I think that should be the right combination to go with. And also, I'm quite interested to see who will replace Hardik. So with whether will it be, if let's say if Kishan gets a chance, then I think Kishan has to bat at number 4, and Rahul to play number 5, and then followed by Jadeja at number 6. So maybe I think that is the combination that India has to go with, or else it will all be right-handers until Surya Kumar.
I mean, either case, we are in for a belter of a match because both the teams are coming in with great form, riding the high of four wins as well. Again, we have a question in our live chat. This is a question to the panel. Was the Bangladesh ODI series 2022 the turning point for the Indian ODI side to change their batting approach? Because before that series, we batted just like Pakistan with a pretty slow run rate. So again, panel, this is open to you. Anyone can address this one. Our
I
panelists
think,
equally stunned with this. Yes, go on, Abhishek.
yeah. So I think we lost that series, right? So that was a tough pill to swallow for the Indians. So that was a wake up call for India, to change their approach, because we lost some close games in that series. So I think we lost 2-1, right? If I'm not wrong. Yeah, so that was a call for India, and later on, getting back Shreyas and KL Rahul was the missing piece, because both were injured. They were in the NCA doing the rehab. So that, I think, played a major role for us, that we have won the first 4 games. So that has been a key component for India, bringing these two guys back.
I have a slightly
Definitely.
different mindset here. So, see, Indian batting has been, off late predominantly very dominant. So it's not that we, kind of missed out on such certain occasions. I think a few times, yes. I think between 2021 to 2022, I think we had played a lot of IPL, a lot of cricket, right? A lot of ODI tournament, and then we were coming back from the loss of 2021 T20 World Cup, and also we were kind of shocked from the defeat of 2019 semi-final, where we had to lose Dhoni, and then some players actually went out, and then there was some chop and change in the leadership as well. So Ravi Shastri and team went out, and then Rahul Dravid and team came in, and also Virat Kohli's ouster as as the captain of the Indian team, Rohit Sharma taking over. So there will always be some turbulence when such kind of transitions happen. So be it with any team. So I think maybe New Zealand has been quite consistent and quite seamless with that. But otherwise, if you look at any team, right, be it Australia, be it England, be it Pakistan, be it South Africa. I think South Africa also, right. So they have also had their share of bad lucks. So I think they have also, they had chopped and changed so many captains, and then that the team had to go undergo a lot of change. Their support staff had to change, and then I think these kind of things happen. But I think something Bangladesh series was kind of a wake up call. That is true. But then I really do not agree to the point that did we bat like Pakistan? I think we were not prepared there. That is what I would say. So yeah, I would not like to. I would not buy that fact that we batted like Pakistan. So I would really not take that statement. But otherwise, right. So I think there was some transition that was happening. So I think this is like, okay, this is quite natural. So you have to always sometimes take certain failures also in your stride, and then you have to bounce back and then come back to winning ways. So the ultimate goal is that we need to win the World Cup. So that is the ultimate goal. So we have to, the team is working towards that. And I think now team has got the right balance. So I think we had lost quite vital players. So we were not sure. We think they were changing. I think we had also lost Rishabh Pant, if I'm not wrong, at that point in time. So we were not sure whom do we replace, because any new player to come in and play, it's kind of challenging, right? So I think that's okay. That's okay. We can live with it.
Fair enough. And I think it was during that time that Bangladesh was really like defeating a lot of top flight teams at home, and the conditions were just impossible to play for like a lot of countries when Australia and England had their fair share of interesting results there.
And,
And
and another
yeah.
point is that, Neha, another point is
Hmm.
that I think Bangladesh has won in home conditions, not in away
Yeah.
conditions, right? So I
Huh.
think that is another point. So it's not that Bangladesh went to a foreign nation and they won the series. That it is not true. So Bangladesh, I don't think they have won. So I think they have only won games at home, won tournaments at home.
Yeah, the home conditions certainly seem to favor them a lot, and they have made the most of it. And in the live chat, Shop also brings in an interesting point that if you observe the World Cup so far, India's batting order hasn't been tested so far, except like the matchup against Australia. So maybe bringing in Sky might have that extra advantage, and he might possibly come in for Hardik, is what he feels. And Shami in place of Shardul could be something that they would be looking at. So, Julie, what do you think about this possible the likelihood of this happening?
So I think I agree with the first half. Probably that could happen. Surya Kumar in place of Hardik, we could see that, but I don't think Shami in place of Shardul, because as we discussed earlier, the tail would simply get longer, and that would probably not in work for India. So I think maybe R Ashwin gets a chance instead of Shardul Thakur, if we see Shardul Thakur making way, or otherwise if I'm not sure why the Indian team management continues to persist with Shardul Thakur, but let us see if R Ashwin makes way for if R Ashwin comes in place of Shardul Thakur. Let's see what happens.
Julie, you're forgetting Lord Shardul Thakur. He's the Lord. He does miracles, that none of us can ever think of. So I think that's not the reason they're persisting with him. They believe in his abilities, and I think that could be a reason.
Ac-
We again,
Actually, one of the things that sorry Neha to interrupt, but actually one of the things that I had read was that if seven batters cannot win you the match, the eighth one can't, and we have Shardul Thakur batting at eight. So instead of that, if we get a good bowler over there who can of course bat a bit, but here what the Indian team management wants of Shardul Thakur is to bat more and probably play the role of a six bowler, probably share 5 overs with Hardik Pandya and give those overs for India. But I don't think that is working so far. Right now, we have been winning, so that is why Shardul Thakur's probably the weakness or the vulnerability has not been exposed. But probably when we face teams like New Zealand, England, South Africa, probably that could come into the picture.
definitely. And again, we have this comment in our live chat, like asking, would India actually want to play Surya Kumar Yadav as their trump card or X factor, especially in the second half of the tournament, because it kind of adds to the psychology that, oh, there's still Surya Kumar Yadav to come in, and that would kind of bring in the opposition's minds as well. So again, this question is open to either of the panelists. So do you think Sky can really have that impact? Because we've seen him blow hot and cold in ODIs, right? So do you still think that the oppositions would fear Surya Kumar Yadav?
Uh, so according to me, Surya might get maybe one game or two, not more than that. So I think so. The only good chance is that he may get a chance next match, and if Hardik comes back, so then he will have to make way for Hardik. So, but otherwise, if you really look at our batting order right from number 1 to number 7, so it's almost sorted. Even Ishan Kishan played first two games, I think, but he was really playing well, but then Shubman Gill came in and then he had to give away his place. So there was no other choice because he was the top priority, a player to come and play. So I don't think Surya Kumar really getting a chance apart from, I don't see him playing any more games in this tournament until and unless if there is anything really drastic happening to any player. But otherwise, I really don't see any changes in the batting or yeah in the batting lineup.
Right. Do any of our other panelists have anything to add to this discourse about Sky?
As the great Sarfaraz Ahmed said, my answer also same, nothing difference.
Okay. So yeah, I think we've gotten quite a few interesting insights in the live chat as well. And as we talk, we have the Australia versus Pakistan match go on as well. And Australia batted first. They put up this glorious 367. At one stage, we were definitely looking at touching 400 as well. So again, I'll open this question to either of you all to take up. So how do you think the match is progressing? I mean, now we see it's a pretty one-sided thing with Pakistan requiring what 18, 40 balls and then 8 wickets down. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the match?
I think the catch which was dropped, I think at the initial phase of the game, I think that just not work for Pakistan. I think from there they lost it. I feel completely giving a player like David Warner second chance, and of course after completing his century again he was dropped if I'm not wrong. So if you give chances to players like David Warner, you are going to pay for it. And David Warner made the most of it. He scored a brilliant 160 odd, I guess, big century. And one of the interesting stat was that he has scored more, I think, three 150 plus scores in the World Cup, which I think he's the only player to do that. So that is exceptional. And I think that set the tone for the Australian team. And of course, not to forget the role of Mitchell Marsh. He also played a handy knock, first World Cup century for him as well. So Australia, I think after that win over Sri Lanka, now they are, I think, back in form. They have set the tone, and I'm sure now the other teams will be worried, especially teams like India, New Zealand, England. I'm sure they'll be worried that if Australia is in such a great form, I think they'll be top contenders now again.
Definitely, I agree with you on the point that that win for Australia really changed a lot of things for them, and that momentum is certainly going to serve them a lot. I think Cricket Darshan also brings a point here that the pitch report for Chinnaswamy should be presented by Ramesh Raja as मेरी बनाई हुई रावलपिंडी की road जैसा है. Oh yeah, so basically just likening the pitch to a road because of how high scoring the match was and the boundaries also being really close. So Sunil, what are your thoughts on the pitch that we saw today?
Chinnaswamy Stadium has been always a batting track, right? So, and also the ground is also small, and then and also we have seen a lot of IPL games, which has been high scoring, predominantly. So, I did not see it as a surprise, and I know if you give a chance to David Warner, Mitchell Marsh with the form that they are in, and I think Australia also missed Cameron Green. Maybe I thought he would have to replace Marnus Labuschagne, so maybe open David Warner and Cameron Green, and then maybe Mitchell Marsh coming in at 3 or 4, right? I think that would have given even more batting depth to what Australia has. So, and Chinnaswamy Stadium has been always a batting track, and then it is,
Yeah.
and also the fans, right? So how our fans are. So
Yeah.
you know and then we have I think even, Australia has a lot of a fan base with Glenn Maxwell playing for RCB. So it's always fans cheer RCB and Glenn Maxwell and Warner. So they celebrate. Yeah. So I think Pakistan, I think they gave away too many runs. I think, maybe if they had somewhere around 300, 320, that would have played in their minds. Okay. So, okay. At least, there would have been some psychological advantage, but 350 is always a tough challenge. It's not very easy. So unless and until if it is not their day, so chasing 350, and also with the kind of pitches that these days, it has been offered at, and also the kind of batting lineup that we have, and also this, the rate at which the runs are being scored, even then, right, if you lose one or two wickets in between, so you are definitely going to lose your way. So that is really not possible. So be it T20 or be it 50 over, so that is how it is. So they have to be careful, and also with the, even with any team, be it, even be it the best of the teams, so they are bound to lose their way. And Chinnaswamy has always been, batsman paradise. So yeah.
That's true. And I think we'll take this last comment here. It says, I hope Australia doesn't win the World Cup from here. So, Abhishek and Julie, do you really see this possibility of Australia actually winning from here? Because I remember reading somewhere that they had a similar ish campaign. I can't remember which one, 2003 World Cup or so, where they lost a lot of matches at the start and then they eventually went to like win the World Cup. Do
That
you
was
see that?
1999. That was not 2003.
99.
2003, they won everything. I think from
Okay, okay.
1999 semi-finals. I think not the semi-final. I think from the Super Sixes,
Mm-hmm.
where it was a round robin method. I think they won against India. I guess they won against Pakistan. I guess.
Okay.
Sorry, I think in South Africa, where
Mhm.
Herschel Gibbs dropped that catch. That was the turning point, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
from then onwards, they have won all the games until 2011 quarterfinal against India. So I think they have the longest winning streak. They
Wow,
have the
okay.
longest winning streak. Yeah. So they won. I mean, you might not believe, Neha. So they won all the games in 2003 World Cup. They won all the games in 2007 World Cup, and then
Oh,
basically those
yeah.
two World Cups they dominated. And then 2011, it was kind of evident that they would
Mhm.
come until, maybe if they had won against India, they would have surely went on to win the World Cup. But then,
Definitely.
they were, because their main players retired, right? So they were
Mhm.
rebuilding. The team was, under construction, I can say. So I think 2015 is when again they bounced back, right? So yeah. And as far as this World Cup is concerned, right, I don't see Australia coming to the finals. I don't see an Australia team in the final this time.
That's
So
a
this is
fair
my
prediction
prediction.
then.
This is my prediction, though.
Yeah. Julie and Abhishek, what do you think about this? Australia going all the way?
So I think we can never rule out Australia. They are a champion side. Already they have won 5 times the ODI World Cup, and you can never write them off. And with the kind of momentum they have got after that Sri Lanka win, and after, of course, today's win, which we are sure that they're going to win against Pakistan, I am sure that they are going to bounce to an altogether different level. So if you see, Neha, the initial two matches which Australia played, the intensity or the kind of attitude that they had, which even their former players spoke about, they were not up to the Australian standards. They looked pretty jaded, dropping catches. Today also they dropped, I think, one or two catches against Pakistan. So that is not the kind of Australian team we are known to see. But I think after these two wins, I'm sure they are going to pick up from here, and I don't think they would not make it to the top four. They'll definitely make it to the top four. Not sure whether they'll make it to the finals or no, but top four is definitely going to be Australia, India, New Zealand, and I think South Africa. I'm not sure whether England is going to make it to the top four, but let's see what happens.
And Abhishek, do you have something to add here?
I partly agree with both of them. Of course, you should never write off Australia because they are a champion side, of course. But I think there are a lot other sides which have a more balanced team and have a better form before the World Cup, and now that all the teams have played around 3 or 4 games. So a lot of other sides are technically better than the current Australian team. So I think even if they reach the semi-finals, the top four, I don't see them winning this World Cup. But of course, they are the Aussies, so you never know. But yeah, I think it's either India or New Zealand. I just hope they do. India and New Zealand don't meet in the semis again. That's my only concern.
Exactly. We do not want to repeat of that situation happening. And here's hoping India can retain that consistency that they have, got in this World Cup. And again, as we discussed, it'll be interesting to see what combination they opt for. So let's see whose prediction comes right. And yeah, I think that pretty much does conclude our discussion. I bet we could talk for another hour about a lot of other permutations and combinations. But I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all our panelists, for amazing us with their remarkable insights and, joining us at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. And, this conversation almost ran for an hour. So thank you for joining, and you really added a lot of value to our conversation. And I'd also like to thank all our viewers who sent in some very interesting insights and questions, and really humored us with your analysis. It really helped us also. And I hope the viewers also had a lot to take away, and we get to see you in our future shows as well. We will be doing this live, although today was like an aberration. We will do it on Sunday at 11 a.m. with cricket fans like this. So please make sure that you subscribe to Never in the Backfoot on YouTube. We also have an audio podcast on Spotify. So make sure you follow that as well. So for now, good night, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you for inviting us, Neha. So thank you so much.
Thank you so
So
much,
we'll be
Neha.
definitely, we'll try to definitely be a part of the next, episode as well. Thanks again.
Cheers.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Neha.
Bye.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Always a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Julie.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Good night. Bye bye.
Good night.